All right, now we want to add a section to our form called features. And in this section, we're going to have a bunch of checkboxes that are dynamically rendered based on the data in our database. So in terms of the implementation, we're going to use the same approach we have used to render the makes dropdown list. So we're going to define a new service, like feature service, inject it into the constructor, and in ng-on-init, we're going to use that to get the features from the server and then set a field in our component. And then in the template, we're going to use that field to render a bunch of checkboxes. So in the terminal, note that I'm in the services folder, and here I run ng generate service feature. So now we have two new files, feature.service.spec, which we're going to delete. And here's the actual service. Now, before going any further, let's register this as a provider in app module. So in the provider section, I'm going to add feature service and then import it using auto import. Okay. Now let's go to the feature service. The implementation of this service is very similar to the make service. So to save time, I'm going to borrow some code from the make service. Let's go to the make service. I'm going to copy these two lines back here, paste it. Next, I'm going to copy this constructor and paste it into our feature service. And finally, I'm going to define a method called getFeatures. Here, I'm going to return this.http:/API/features and map the response to JSON. So our service is ready. Now let's use it in our component. So vehicle form component. First, I'm going to import it here. Feature service of type feature service. And auto import automatically adds the import statement on the top. Next, in ng-on-init, I'm going to use this service to get the data from the server. So this.featureService.getFeatures, subscribe, here we get the features, and set this.features to this object. And that means we should also declare this field here, makes models features, which is any array. And the last step, we need to go to our template and render our checkboxes. So just before the closing form tag here, I'm going to add a section, h2 features. Now, if you look at the Bootstrap website, the markup you need to write to render checkboxes is like this. So we need a div with the class checkbox. In this div, we're going to have a label, and inside the label, we're going to have an input with type set to checkbox. Now, because we're going to have multiple checkboxes, I'm going to use ng for here, let f of features. Then here, I'm going to add the feature name in front of the checkbox. I can give each checkbox an ID like this, feature f.id. And then I'm going to use the same value for the for attribute of the label. So feature f.id. Let's look at the result. Save. Okay, back here, now we have this section, features, with 3 checkboxes. I can click the label and the checkbox gets selected or deselected. So this is how you render input fields dynamically based on the data in the database. Now here is a simplified example. We are only rendering checkboxes. In a more complex example, you may allow the user to design a form as part of your application. So then you need to keep track of the form fields and their data type. And then when you call the API, based on the data type of various fields, you will render different input types, like a text box, text area, checkbox, radio button, and so on.